Hey, what is up, everybody? Coach Mac, Play Fast Football. Glad you could join us on this Tuesday night, talking about Week 5 updates for us during our season, and then also going to talk about some of the trends you're seeing, college football, NFL football. As always, a Q&A session, trying to see what you guys are seeing in your season, where you're at, um, what you're trying to get done, what you're trying to play on defense or on offense, what teams are trying to do to you. Again, our weekly kind of um, community check in during the season, one of the only chances you're going to get. Um, we mention it every week. One of the only chances you're going to get to check in, talk some ball, get some answers, talk things that are happening with your team, things that are happening in high school football, things that are happening in college football, things that are happening in NFL football, all the current trends of what's going on, what is out there, who's trying what, who's doing what. So we got back on the winning track this past week with a 51-14 win in our game. Kind of the same deal defensively, similar to the week before. Struggled a little bit, I felt, stopping the run. Got some nub sets. We got some two-back twins nub and then some one-back, 3x1 nub. People attacking the nub side, the tight end side, trying to take advantage of some of our tight front stuff. We got some pin pull deals. Took us a little bit to get going on the defensive side of the ball. Again, we are a little bit smaller up front, play a freshman nose. They were leaving the center on the nose by himself. We had to make some wrinkles to get the nose freed up and start moving the nose after we saw what they were trying to do, figuring out where we were trying to move the nose, because anytime people are going to run pin pull schemes, especially trying to get guards out, and you're an odd front team, if the center is by himself, that's where you've got to win. Obviously, if you're tight front, they have leverage angles on four eyes, so the four eyes are going to have a hard time winning. But anytime they try to get guards out and leave the center by himself, that's where you are trying to win. So, a lot of times in tight front stuff, odd front stuff, if you are getting a lot of one-on-ones, you've got to figure out where you're going to win those matchups. A lot of times, if teams have angles, they have leverage. When you're getting the pin pull schemes, it's tough to win on the original pin blocks, depending on what your visual keys are and what your pressure keys are. But where you can win is when they're trying to cut off four eyes with tackles, when they're trying to block your nose solo with the center. That's where you've got to try to win. And then for us, as always, our defense is kind of built on keeping people off of linebackers, forcing some of the down blocks and the back blocks on four eyes and down blocks on the nose so that we can keep our linebackers clean. That's what we try to do on defense. We ended up having to play a bunch of way more mint front than we normally do, which is for us putting the fourth rusher away from the Sam. We don't play divorced front theories with our secondary. Our fronts are tied right now. A lot of the stuff we do, the fronts are tied to where the Sam is set because our blitzes are set that way. So, again, within every system, within everything that you're doing as a system, a lot of times some of the things that you've got built in as strengths also end up being weaknesses for you. So, one of the things for us that makes it a little bit tough, the way our blitzes are built in, we don't play old school divorce front theories like 4-2-5 teams would. So when we're getting nub tight ends, in the old days, we used to be able to set the front in our over front stuff. We would set the front to the tight end, set the coverage strength to the twins, and live in kind of the best of both worlds. We don't do that anymore. We're not a 4-2-5 team. We're not an even front team by base. We do play over front as part of our deal, but our over front right now is tied to the passing strength. So that's one of the things that we are looking at moving forward when we are playing base defense and not pressuring, finding a way to set the over front to the nub while setting the Sam to the passing strength. And then when we want to pressure, we can just make field and boundary calls and set them all together so that we can pressure. So, every week you live and you learn some things that you like, some things that you don't like. There's a lot of things that I like with our system and how we play defense. And then there's some things that I don't like. And, each week you kind of live and learn and you try to make adjustments. Our linebackers spill and we always run our middle safety through the alley is what we try to do. So, but each week it kind of depends on what you're seeing. There's times where we have to play the middle safety behind. So like a lot of times, 2 by 2, one back runs, we play the middle safety behind a lot of the action because that's how we guarantee an extra player on the quarterback. So it becomes kind of game plan dependent. We want our middle safety running the alley as much as we possibly can, but there are some things that the offense will do to us. This past week they tried to arc release. They tried to arc release on the 4-eye and get a guy up to linebacker level, especially in 3-by-1. They tried to eliminate the middle safety from the fit. So for us, a lot of the times that's what we'll see teams that'll go 3-by-1 and they'll try and eliminate the middle safety from the fit by using those 3-by-1 remove sets. And so we've got to figure out where our extra players are going to be, not only in the run fit, but in the quarterback pull game and the quarterback read game. So, every week it's kind of that cat and mouse chess game where they're trying to get their extra hats where they want them and you're trying to get your extra hats where you want them. In today's game with the way offense is played, there's going to be some times where you have to win with even numbers in the box and you have to win with leverage and you have to win defeating blocks. And, obviously you can always push the ball where you want to push it to try and send it to unblocked players. But I think offenses are too good nowadays with how they attack you, within their structure and the things that they do to try and get numbers. And, with one of the things I'm going to talk about tonight is a lot of the fast motion schemes you're seeing in the NFL and a lot of stuff that the Dolphins are doing, which is kind of some wrinkles on, some of the Shanahan run game stuff from the 49ers and some of the things they're doing that I think could certainly be used in high school. And, at the end of the day, offensive football to me, is always so much easier, because every time you're wrinkling things up, you're telling your guys exactly where to go. You're recreating all these different formations and motions and, you're sending a guy outside in from number 1 and making him number 3, but he knows at the end of the day when he's number 3 what his job is. He knows what his job is in the blocking scheme based on the plays you're running or the tags you give him. So, defensively, you're trying to react to all these things on the fly. So, not only different formations, but these different motions that you're seeing, it's trying to figure out what your motion adjustments are and what the offense is going to get you to do on defense with what they're doing. So, offense to me, weekly game planning stuff, I feel like it's always easier to game plan and attack as an offense, to try and figure out a way that you can wrinkle in some motions and some formation adjustments to get things the way you want them. Because at the end of the day, when the ball is snapped, you ultimately are telling your offensive guys what to do. And on defense, you're ultimately reacting to what the offense does. And, in every play, on defense, you've got a run pass read, you've got a run fit, but then you've also got a coverage component. So offensively, yes, you can run or pass the ball, but usually within the play call, your guys are going to know whether they're executing a run or pass, except for run pass options, obviously, which have two things going on, but still, when you're running run pass options, the O-line knows the run scheme, that they're trying to run, and, the receivers know the routes that they're trying to run. So, Taradome, what's up, buddy? So I still think at the end of the day, it's so much harder to play good defense, especially at the lower levels of football. So many things offenses can do and the limited time that you get to spend with your players. I just feel more comfortable as an offensive guy knowing that I can tell my guys exactly what to do and hope that they can execute it. Obviously the execution I think is harder on offense with blocking people, getting people where you need to be, getting all 11 guys working together. Defensively, sometimes if you get home with one gap movement or, one guy makes something happen, it can kind of you can get away with making some mistakes at some other positions. Whereas on offense, I don't know if you can get away with that. I think offense takes, I think there's a lot more guys on offense that have to execute for plays to be successful. Um, Defensively, I feel like there's times where you can get away with being poor in one or two positions if you win in one or two key elements. Um, but you know, again, I just think when I approach it, from the defensive side, there's so much that we're worried about formationally and motions, and when we're in base steals, and then when we're pressuring or we're moving, and when we're in base steals, what are our motion adjustments? When we pressure or we move, what are our motion adjustments? How do we handle formations when we're in base? How do we handle formations when we pressure and we move? And we're always going to be a step behind the offense because they know their game plan going in. We are basing things off of the film that we're seeing and how we think they're going to attack us. They know exactly how we're going to attack us, right? So I feel like defensively, you're always kind of a step behind and you're always having to make, weekly game plan adjustments. I think a lot of times offensively, you can stay a step ahead. You know what your game plan was, the formations that you're going to use. And then, the only way you're a step behind is you don't know exactly, off of film what you think you're going to get. But if the defense has wrinkles or change ups, sometimes you don't know exactly how they're going to line up or the coverage is exactly that they're going to play to your formations or your shifts or your motions. So, I think that can be a little bit of a setback for the offense. But I just feel like offensively each week, exactly what you're going in with your game plan, and you know exactly how you're trying to attack. And defensively, we know what we're preparing for. But the last 2 weeks for us, we've seen teams that have been um, remotely different than they were the week before. So, like this past week, we played a team that was 90% 10 and 11 personnel. And this past week against us, they were 90% 21 and tight end close personnel. So, one of those things that like you work all week, and they had some three back heavy personnel stuff that they were doing. They did none of it. So we spent time during the week getting ready for three back stuff. We didn't see it at all. They did a bunch of spread stuff, 2x2, 3x1 the week before. Spend time defending that. They did none of it. They stayed 90% of the night in twins, closed nub on the backside, two back, and 3x1. Trips closed with a nub tight end on the backside. So, it's you've got to be able to defend everything. Obviously, your base system and your movements and your pressures have to be able to defend all formations because you have no idea what you're going to see. But it's just the positive